So welcome back. And in this session, we are actually going to talk about what it takes to get your dreams done. We're actually going to talk about the principles and a framework to help you get your loftiest ideals and your most gorgeous ambitions and your mighty mission done. But I want to start with a little philosophy, and I want to start with another story. So there was once this Indian Maharaja. And every morning he would wake up and he would do this very bizarre morning ritual. He would actually celebrate his own death, his own funeral, complete with music and flowers. And all the while he would be chanting, "I have lived fully, I have lived fully, I have lived fully." Now, I couldn't understand why this man would create this morning routine. There's better morning routines. You're going to learn some morning routines as we go through the program that are going to be absolute game changers for you. But I asked my father, I said, "Dad, why would this Maharaja get up every single morning and recreate his own funeral?" And my dad, always a source of great wisdom in my life, along with my mom, of course, said, "Robin, that's easy. This man has created a morning tradition to connect him to his mortality. This man is doing this daily practice to remind him that every day could be his last." And my point is simply this, life is ultimately very, very short. And most people in the world right now are very busy being busy, and they're postponing their greatness. They're postponing doing their dreams. They're postponing living their authenticity. They're postponing lifting the world and creating the lifestyle that they love because they just are really trapped in living out their days in a really reactive mode. And so what I want to do for you in this session is really walk you through how to set goals like a history maker. And I also want to remind you there is a call on your life. There are no extra people on the planet. And the very fact you are alive today means you have a mighty mission inside of you. You might not have tended to it. You might have forgotten it. You might be discouraged right now, or maybe you're just sort of coasting through life. Well, I am here. We are in this together, and I will help you get to your next level of world class. And when I use this term world class, when I use this term like A player, yes, it'll help you be more productive. Yes, it'll help you make more income if that's one of your goals. Yes, it'll help you really dial in your fitness. But a lot of what I do is also very soulful, and I really want you to know that. Yes, part of me is very much a monk, I wrote The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, and part of me is very much a warrior. And I think that is actually one of the struggles as human beings that we face, which is being in the world but not of the world. And so I just want you to know, when I talk about being productive, I'm talking about being productive in the world, but also I'm talking about personal mastery productivity. When I talk about being successful or world class, yes, I'm talking about being, owning your craft and leading your field and making history and changing the world and living a beautiful lifestyle. And yet at the same time, I am talking about that sense of soulfulness and being authentic and loving yourself and being compassionate and doing what you do with a ton of heart. So with that, let's talk about goal setting. I once had someone come to one of my events, and he was a jet pilot. And he said, "Robin, we were trained in the military to fly before we fly." And I said, "What do you mean by that?" And he said, "Well, before we actually fly the jet, we actually imagine and go through a complete strategy document about what we want to have happen in the flight." And I think that's a really great metaphor for you each day, each week, each month, each decade, and for your life. You see, you don't get lucky, you make lucky. And it is such a seduction of society that when we look at the Elon Musks, or when we look at the Steve Jobses, or when we look at the Picassos or the Messis, or we look at the great chess champions or the violinists or the wonderful chefs out there, anyone who is doing something at world class, it's very easy to think that they were just in the right place at the right time. Or maybe they did have talent that you don't have. Maybe they had easier backgrounds. That is just not true. You do have what it takes. Those people were simply a lot more intentional than the ordinary person. See, the average person in the world spends more time planning their summer vacation than they do reflecting on and then planning out their life. And if you look at any person who is successful in the world, they're not reactive, they're very strategic. You can, when I coach the billionaires one-on-one, or when I look at these titans of humanity that I've met some of the most amazing people in the world. All of those people, almost to a person, they all have their sheets of paper or their journals or their diaries or their game books or their playbooks where they literally have all their goals scripted out. And I guess what I'm suggesting to you is this: vague goals lead to vague results, and clarity breeds mastery. I've used this term before, brain tattoo. And brain tattoo is simply a commonly held belief I'm offering to you that I want you to think about until it becomes an obsession, until it becomes your way of thinking. And so here's a brain tattoo I really want you to wire in as a way of seeing the world, which is clarity breeds mastery. If you're not clear about what you want in your work, if you're not clear about what you want in your intimate relationships, if you're really not dialed in with precision on what you want for your health, how can you hit a target that you simply cannot see? And if you don't know where you're going, obviously, it's the old idea, any path will get you there. And life is just too short to be coasting through life, hoping that one day you're going to wake up and you're going to get lucky. So success and productivity and real results are handcrafted by you. And so in my life, one of the things that helps me is I have these game sheets, and I'm always rewriting my goals. And I've got a framework in terms of how I set my goals and my intentions that has been amazingly valuable for me and the people that I coach one-on-one. Like I said, a lot of the CEOs, a lot of the billionaires of the world, a lot of sports superstars. This framework has been really helpful for them and to them. And so the first part of the framework is simply the big five. I love South Africa. I was in South Africa a number of years ago and I went on a safari, and the game warden said, "Robin, we're going to go look for the big five game." And he talked about the lion, and I don't know what the other four were. I don't know, maybe it was the lion and the giraffe or whatever they were. But the idea was, when I got back to my hotel room, I asked myself, what are my big five game? What are the five highest priorities I want to hunt for the rest of my life? And here was the real question I asked myself: what five things need to happen between today and the last day of my life for me to feel I lived a legendary life? So you want to write these down in your journal today. Okay, there's never a better day to become the person you've always wanted to be than today. The Chinese say it so beautifully. They say the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So do this now. Never leave the sight of an opportunity without taking some action to get it done. Every A player has a bias towards action versus chit chat. So big five, that's the first thing I want you to do. Pull out your journal, or even just close your eyes and ask yourself, what five things must happen between now and the last day of my life for me to feel I lived a beautiful life? Okay, and then write those down. Positive psychologists talk about cues and triggers. So it's not cheesy or it's not metaphysical to write these things on your bathroom mirror and to have them pop up on your mobile device. You want to see your big five for your life everywhere you go, so they start to imprint not only your subconscious mind, but your conscious mind. Okay? Second part of the framework: what are your main five values? Do you really want to live society's life? Do you really want to live your neighbor's life? You become powerful when you become authentic. Few things are as powerful as a human being really comfortable in their own skin. You get enormous energy, you get enormous power when you say, you know what? I am going through life on my own terms, running my own race, staying in my own lane, versus being a card-carrying member of the cult of mediocrity and living your life according to the way society says you should live. One of the greatest sources of happiness is living life on your own terms. Knowing your definition of success and then having the bravery and the wisdom to live it. So, second part of the framework, write down your top five values, your main five values. For me, one of them is mastery. Another one is beauty. Everywhere I go, I look for beauty. Another one for me is contribution. It's really important in my life that I feel I'm being an instrument of service to as many people as possible. To me, meaning is so much more important than money. To me, integrity is so much more valuable than income. And I got this, from my family and especially my dad, but I'm very much in my life about being an instrument of service to as many people as possible. And so the second part of the framework really is detecting your main 5 values. And then the final part of the framework is the daily 5. And this has helped so many people that I have coached and taught get to all new levels of results in their lives, whether it's personal or whether it's professional. And the daily 5 is simply this. When you get up every single morning, ask yourself, what 5 little wins must I achieve this day for this to be a valuable day? Because your days are your life in miniature. You'll hear me say that later in the program, but your days are your life in miniature. And so as you live each day, so you craft your life. And so if you could just ask yourself, what 5 little wins must I achieve today? At the end of 30 days, if you execute on those, at the end of 30 days, you will have achieved 150 little victories. At the end of 12 months from this moment you and I are now sharing, you will have actually achieved 1,850 little goals. It's simply not possible for this not to be the best 12 months of your life if you have achieved 1,850 small incremental wins. Okay? And it's not only the results, it's who you became achieving 850 daily victories over the next 12 months. So set goals. Remember that clarity breeds mastery. Remember that vague plans lead to vague results, and really dial in what you want to see your life look like and then get these daily goals done. I know you can do it. Start right now by pulling out your journal and writing out your daily 5 little wins that you will get done today, and say to yourself, make that commitment, make that devotion. Say to yourself, I will not go to sleep tonight unless I get these 5 little wins done. And if you do it every day, what starts to happen is you build it in as a daily routine. You start to build a habit. And as I've suggested earlier, all change is a little hard at first, and it gets messy in the middle, and it's beautiful at the end. So if you practice being spectacular long enough, being spectacular becomes your way of being. Start the new habit of goal setting today. Stay with it until it becomes automatic.